So Scott, tell me, Bullen Merri 2014, third year of a Chinook stocking program. Lake's getting back to where it was?
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's been, it was 5 years from 2007 onwards till about the end of 2011.
Yep.
Where there wasn't any Chinook stock, but thanks to a bit of hard work in the hatchery up there, Fisheries Victoria led a project which was recreational fishing licence funded to do some work on the Chinooks and look at fertilisation rates, genetics, purchase some equipment, some specialised equipment, and the result today is all the fish that are getting stocked into these crater lakes again, which is fantastic to see, and they're doing pretty well.
So what we're going to try today, obviously you've got downriggers on the boat, so we're going to be downrigging, which is a really interesting way to troll. Something I love, a little bit technical.
Yep.
Really requires finding and searching fish, but what sort of techniques do you use to catch salmon here?
Yeah, well look, there's a whole range of techniques you can use. As you said, downrigging is a very popular one. Bullen Merri is a great place. It's a crater lake essentially, so it's very deep. It gets up to about 50 metres in depth.
Yep.
And it's quite open. There's not a lot of weed and structure to snag on. So obviously the salmon aren't on the surface all year round. They vary with their distribution throughout the water column, and a lot of the time you'll find them down quite deep. So what we want to do by downrigging is try and get our bombs down. You know, today we're going to fish around sort of 15 to 20 metres in depth.
Yep.
And downrigging is really the only way you can get your line down that deep comfortably.
Cool. Well, let's give it a go. Now Scott, you've got a great downrigger set up on your boat, and to me, it looks simple, clean, efficient and easy to use.
That's it, and that's really important because when you're trolling, you're moving. So it's a very dynamic way of fishing. So you want everything to be able to, you want to be in hands reach of everything. You want to know exactly where your lures are. And by using the downriggers, I can look on the sounder, I can check the depth, I can use the counter on the scale on here to put them down to the right depth. In this case, I've got one at 15 metres. Over there I've got one down at 20 metres, so I'm covering two areas of the water column there. And then I've also got my lead core out, which gets my line down to around 6 to 8 metres. So I've got that sort of, 6 to 20 metres covered there, and then I usually run a flat line as well. Now obviously in Victorian waters you can only use 2 lines per person. I'm fishing with Bill today, so we've got 4 rods out that we're using, and hopefully that coverage of the water column will enable us to find the fish today. We've been marking a few fish up in about 60 feet of water here, and there's very little in between the surface and that depth. So we really want to get our line down there, and with a standard outfit, even with a deep diving lure, I can't dive down that far. So to get my lure down, I'm using this downrigger, which is basically like a rod and reel in itself. But on the end of this, I've got attached a heavy lead bomb, and that weighs about 1 kilo, that bomb there. And basically on the back of that, there's a clip which trails off the back. I clip my line onto that. I put my reel into free spool. I release the downrigger by releasing the spool there, and then I slowly let the line down. And then it'll take it down to the depth I want. There's a counter on the side here, and it tells me how many metres my line's at, so I can be exactly sure where it actually is. The other important thing is to keep your eye on the sounder at all times. You actually can track your downrigger bomb on your sounder, so you know roughly how deep it is from your scale here, but you keep an eye on it there. That way if there's reefs and things like that underwater, you know you need to wind it up. You get over here, wind it up to the right depth, and that'll avoid snagging. So it's very important, the use of a sounder with a downrigger setup. But if you do that and you keep your eye on the ball, it really is a very effective way of targeting fish at depth. So bombs away. Okay, now I've got it down to the depth that I want. I engage my reel. I tighten up the spool here so it won't sink any further. And then it's just a matter of making sure I take all the slack line out and keep that rod tip nice and well bent. And then when the fish takes the lure, for a second, the line will go slack and then it'll buckle over. If you fish with too much slack out, you'll find you'll miss a lot of bites because the fish will take it, and then for a few seconds, while the line comes up tight as the boat moves, it'll be slack, and sometimes the lure can drop out of their mouth. So get all that slack out of your line, so it's nice and tight, and then it's just a matter of waiting for a fish to hit the lure. Now you can see here on the sounder, just monitoring that bomb going down. I just dropped it down, and I can see the depth that it's at now, which is around about 20 metres. Oh, he's a bit bigger, is he?
Still a yearling, but probably a little bit more weight than the others. Just foul hooked.
You want a net, or you right?
Nah, she's right.
A little bit bigger than the last one?
Yeah, a little bit bigger than the last one. He's taken that Rapala X wrap again.
Now, the gear we're using today is pretty straightforward. All you really need for this sort of fishing is a standard 2 to 4 kilo outfit. I prefer to use braid over monofilament, just for the sensitivity more than anything. But the basic setup is here. We've got a minnow lure on the end here. The minnows work quite well in here. Some people prefer winged lures, wobblers. There's a whole range of things that will work well. Then I've basically got a metre of leader, which is about 10 pound monofilament. And I've got that connected to one of my favourite attractors, which is actually called a dodger. Now, there's a whole lot of different attractors on the market. I prefer these dodgers, but other people prefer things like board fenders and cowbells. And the idea basically is they wobble in the water like that, they create flash, they help to bring the fish to the lure, and then when the fish comes up to see that flash, usually, hopefully it finds the lure and you get a bite. Now, connected to the other end of that, I've got a shock leader of about 3 metres, and then I've got that connected to my braid. And that's as simple as it needs to be to troll for a salmon.
Now, Scott, apart from downrigging, what other methods can you use for catching Chinook here in Bullen Merri?
Okay, well, bait fishing is very effective, and it's a technique you can use all year round as well. And basically involves burleying up, a light burley trail like you'd use in the sea for, snapper or something like that. And just being patient, and then just presenting small baits, which usually are salted baits like fish fillets, your blue bait, pilchards, white bait, things like that, fished on a small hook. Just off the bottom.
And in deep water too.
Yeah.
15, 20 metres of water.
Yep, that's probably where we're going to target today. So we'll pull up out of here, out of the wind, and we'll get the anchor down, get the burley going, and just wait for a bite. Now, when you've anchored up and you're in position, the first thing you want to do is get your burley down into the water, because it might take some time to get the fish to come around. So what I always do is, I actually use my downrigger. I use it for trolling all the time, but I can also use it to present my burley at depth. And it's much easier than having rope lying around in the boat. All I basically do is, I've got a stainless steel cage, my burley log roll goes in there, I clip it onto my downrigger, and then I can drop it down 10, 15 metres, down closer to the bottom, where the burley will slowly leach out of the cage. And then if I want to get it out of the way, all I have to do is just use a lever and just wind it back up. So very simple to use, and hopefully it'll get a few fish to come around. And you can see how that burley is just starting to work already. I'll just make sure it's working, and then I'll drop it down to depth. Well, these are the salted baits that I'm going to start to prepare. I'm also going to chop some up finely for burley. Now, when you're getting ready, it's very important when you chop your baits up for burley that you're chopping it into very, very small pieces, because you basically don't want to feed the fish, you want to attract them, but you don't want them to avoid your baits because they're too full. So I usually chop up a fair bit of stuff, very small pieces like that. And then that way, when you throw it in the water, it breaks up and it just trickles down, and hopefully that'll bring the fish into the area as well. Little and often, that's always the rule with burley. And I'll also prepare some little fillets of pilchard as well, because these are a little bit bigger. They actually make a great little fillet bait. And what I do is I just chop it up like that, and just cut off little pieces like that. Now, even though Chinook salmon are voracious predators and they grow to a big size, when it comes to bait fishing, finesse is really important. So what we're going to do today is we're going to use light leaders of around 6 pound fluorocarbon. You don't really want to go much heavier than that at the moment. That should be enough to catch the fish we want to catch today. And we're going to use lightly weighted or unweighted baits. It's really important when we're presenting burley to bring the fish in that we present our baits in the same fashion. So we're going to use small little cube baits, and we're going to use very small hooks. I've got a little size 10 bait holder hook here, and that should be perfect for the little cubes of pilchard and blue bait that we're going to put out in a minute. There's one.
Better fish?
Got him. Feels a bit better. Let's check my drag. You just don't know sometimes. Certainly feels a bit bigger.
Oh, he's got a bit more on it.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for him to take off. This is the lighter rod. This is just with the 6 pound fluorocarbon. So.
Quite amazing, really. They're such delicate bites, and they can turn out to be fish that are 2, 3 kilos. These are nice fish.
Much better fish, this one. This is
the one we're after.
Chasing. There you go. Just like I said, saw the boat and dived.
Took off.
Yep. Oh, it's a nice fish, this
Yeah.
one. You're well over a kilo. I'm just using light leader, so just want to take it easy. We fished for a little while for this one. Got him. That's right, all that talk. Now this is probably one of last year's fish, which probably stocked in autumn last year. So coming up to about 18 months in the lake and coming up to nearly 3 years of age. And that is just what this lake is famous for. Fish like this, beautiful. It's certainly not a big fish by any standards for this lake, but you know, if you come down for the weekend or even for a day from Melbourne or something like that, and you come down and catch a fish like that, you couldn't ask for more than that, could you?
So there you have it, mate. Beautiful fish. A little bit of green tinge up the top here.
Yeah, they look beautiful, don't they? Beautiful and silver.
Black mouth, so
Yep.
you know it's a Chinook, and quite pronounced teeth. Pointy tail.
Yep.
Just a lovely fish. And this fish has been in here 12 months?
At least 12 months.
At least
You're
12
probably
months?
coming up to 18 months in the lake.
That's cool.
So this one's definitely a keeper.
Yeah.
And I'll keep this one and put it in
Good
the
on
fish
you.
smoker, I reckon. It just goes to show you, if you're patient, you keep burleying or you keep trolling, the rewards are there for you.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy with that.
I'll tell you what, in another 12 months,
There'll be
these
some-
fish are going to be up over 2 kilos.
That's right, there'll be some rockets in there,
And
I'd say.
yeah, Bullen Merri will
Yep.
be rocking and rolling, mate.
That's it, so get down here and catch a few.
Absolutely.
Got it. It's a nice fish just on the top out here. Just got to go easy on these fish. You never know where they're hooked. And you just know they're going to explode when they get near the boat. That's a ripper. He's coming right round. One bad thing about using an anchor is you know the rope's down there somewhere. The last thing you want to do is have this go around the anchor rope and have that light line just go ping straight away. Oh, you got one too, Bill?
Yeah.
Geez, that's all right. Double hookup. That burley's really starting to work now. And this is what we mean by, you know, when we talk about them being a great sport fish. Where are you, Bill?
Out the back, I'm well away from you. I'll just get this burley bomb up.
Just so much fun, these fish. Yes! All right.
Got him.
Got him.
Good.
Oh, what a corker.
Nice
How are
fish.
you going? Where are you? Yeah.
Oh, he's a lovely fish. Yeah. It's probably about 2 kilos.
It's taken a while, but we found the fish. We brought them to us, actually. And now we're getting some pretty good fishing. I'm just going to put this fish down the back here for now. We're going to keep this one as well.
Now these fish, without a doubt, of all the salmonids in Australia, it's not as big, but
I don't know, I reckon it's pretty good.
hardest. Beautiful. There's another nice fish. Chinook salmon here in Australia.
You know, this just shows you that Chinook salmon are back in these lakes. and
Absolutely.
This is what anglers have got, you know, the next year to look forward to.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be fantastic.
What are these fish going to be like in 12 months' time?
Well, that's right. Well, they're going to be well over 2 kilos.
Yeah, I'd say up towards 3 kilos, and 3 kilos and 100 metres on the
Yep.
first run. They're
Yep.
going to scream.
And look, you can wait till next year to come down,
Yeah.
but if you get down here now, some pretty good fishing.
Absolutely.
To keep up to date with everything the Fishing Show crew is up to, including our latest competitions and prize giveaways, head over to our Facebook page, AFN The Fishing Show. And if you're keen for content, AFN TV is now free to join with over 1,000 videos at your fingertips, plus tip and tactics from Bill and myself.